had to put that shield up, and that's exactly what we saw. And this time they will connect on the Graviton and Dragaton Surge, but it just won't actually find kills.
The Dragaton doesn't get rid of MonkaS, and you got Romeo who just dropped the EMP, but the shield is so broken for Perori, and you're missing sleep on the Zarya. Not sure if MonkaS want to keep engaging this, at least keeping up the pressure, building towards more ultimates, but now you got Armament have built up towards both of their 2 support ultimates of the Transcendence and Valkyrie, so MonkaS have to be very careful, especially now that Armament have 3 supports on the board.
Now what are they going to do here? I mean, Chang doesn't really have a lot of targets that he can find. It's really going to be up to Romeo, I think, in a lot of situations. Zion already went down. There's the charge.
It's huge. Perori, he's just going to win the fight by himself. And now you got this Mercy was not unlucky. We'll call it at that. And MonkaS will finish the map in a slightly less best time bank than Armament.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close, though. So, I mean, I'm not going to give too much favor to the side of Armament, because it really is, I mean, it's 31 seconds. A lot can be determined by, you know, a couple of quick fights that happen on that first point, especially because that first point is actually quite holdable, especially with, you know, smaller time banks such as this, you know, when you're at sub 2 minutes, even lower, you know, without some significant, you know, very impactful, very pivotal plays, I think you can actually hold this out for a lot longer than 4 minutes. I mean, you can even think about, I guess, going into comp and how that plays out. You see a lot of full holds on this map, certainly a lot more than a lot of other maps, but certainly I think that this could be a situation where a team could full hold and that will set the tone, and that will be that. So, I mean, if Armament right here can make some big plays and hold this out, if DPI can actually find these kills, if Kimsey and Teru could actually come together and find kills off of a Dragaton Surge combo, then I think this is in the bag. They can actually hold this out. But they've really struggled with those 2 ultimates being used in tandem. I mean, the first time we saw it, it was a complete disconnect. Graviton went down, Dragon Strike was nowhere to be seen, came in late. They wound up getting a kill, but it was really just because of misposition on Perori's part. But look at this way, look at this entrance actually. DPI, yeah, already got a kill, but this is an interesting entrance.
I don't think Sign got the sign that everyone is going out the other door, and he just was a duck hunt for DPI. 2 snipers for the defense. MonkaS trying something flashy here with the Ghosts, with the Ana variant, going towards the right side, but they're going to have to engage this head-on, especially when you only have 2 snipers for DPS to deal with on the other side. They won't be able to shield break as much as maybe MonkaS can roll through.
Oh, some pressure onto Teru, but again, DPI bailing the team out with another very huge pick. Not even just taking out the Zarya, which is what they need to enable their Reinhardt, but on top of that, also finding that D-Mech onto sleep right after. Certainly a lot of that was started by Teru, but finished off by the Widowmaker, and that's what really matters in the thick of things, as Sleep was so close to meching back up at 60%. Obviously, we know how quick that can turn up to 100. And he's able to find that kill, and that's just more time off the clock. This is exactly what we were looking for with Armament on the holdout here.
Oh yeah, that's DPI has found his true calling on this Widowmaker. He's hitting the most insane shots, and Terror is right behind him. He's got Dragon Strike, launches it right across behind the payload. This separates the team. Thankfully, no one away from each other, but Perori is so low, they'll have to be careful, and somehow Chang still gets caught by the very tail end of that dragon.
Oh, DPI up top right now, looking for that Lucio. You can see him just waiting it out. He wants the Lucio more than anything. If you can take the Lucio out, you eliminate the sound barrier, and you eliminate what could be a momentum shifter in that ultimate.
We're down to the last couple seconds, and MonkaS haven't got any meters going on. The nano boost is placed onto the Reinhardt. Perori goes forward, and he gets shattered. They have to use a sound barrier to keep him up, but in the middle of that, while the sound barrier goes away, they get caught into a Graviton. They still exist. They're still alive. Self-destruct does build up some room, but they lost their Ana, one of their main healers, but they got 2 more to go. But it's in overtime. MonkaS is really struggling here.
That was another one. Reventon, I mean, he missed his first one pretty quickly, and Perori was able to fire back, but that was a huge turnaround from Reventon after losing, at least initially, losing his Zarya. So he didn't have that backup, but still was able to generate that ultimate and find use with it. And strong usage as well, as he's able to close the fight out. Without that, I'm not sure that they would have been able to stabilize, because that sound barrier, not having that pick earlier that DPI was looking for, they didn't have the ability to shut that down, and it seemed as though MonkaS was going to be able to sustain. But here's that hold that we were talking about. So Armament now going on the attack. This is their distance that they have to cover. They have 30 seconds more to cover it. Are they going to be able to pull that off? Is DPI going to be able to find those picks?
I didn't really have too much faith into the double sniper going into goats. There's not really a lot of targets. There's a lot of health pools and a lot of regeneration from MonkaS. But DPI and Teru completely proved me wrong. They're getting headshots, which is still wounding the tanks over and over and over again. And MonkaS not playing as aggressive as you need to do with the goats. They should have been Lucio speed boosting into the foreheads of Armament. And I felt that there was not really any traction despite having such an aggressive style composition.
So now Romeo going back over to the Sombra, something that has, I think, really kind of helped them in situations and clutch moments where they really need it. Certainly lends them a lot of control and allows them to get a little bit more healing as well, so that they don't have to really babysit certain heroes as much, because they can kind of just be themselves, or be by themselves a little bit more. They don't have to have, I guess it just allows everybody else to be more aggressive, right? So that's a big thing here, especially as they have to hold out for 2 minutes and they need to find kills, or they're going to be outpaced by what is an insane Widow in DPI.
I want to be DPI's mercy, low-key. Like, just power boost and carry my games, because that's what DPI is doing. Already 50% charge. They just left the doors. Teru is right up there in the whole sniper battle. Who has the best high-scoring duck hunt? Yellow box of victory is there. Armament are meters away. They've trapped the tanks in a corner, and not even any ultimates is needed. Kimsey out of mech, though. This might start to slow Armament down, but it hasn't slowed down DPI or Teru, who continue to tear up MonkaS, and this is getting meters away from being a tie series between MonkaS and Armament. They bring it home. Rialto for Armament.
Now tied up 1-1. Armament just edging that one out, and certainly on the back of DPI, it seems, as if there was one person to look at in terms of being able to set himself apart from the rest, it certainly is going to be DPI. Chang obviously had his moments, especially early on in their attack, but throughout this matchup, it was DPI, DPI, DPI. Every single time we saw a nutty shot, it was almost always DPI. And I mean, to close that out in that kind of fashion, that's huge. And I certainly think it makes a bold statement as to what to expect for the rest of this series.
Well, we have a very bold host that will join us again. Hello, Ham. At the half, we're at 1-1. This is quite an interesting series.
I mean, you're 100% right, Lemon. I mean, both of these teams so neck and neck, which is good, because some of them were pretty headless due to that dual sniper that we saw brought out from Armament, and kind of rolling back originally to that 3-point take from MonkaS, running that GOATS composition. We saw a lot of really good tank play, but it was, as we saw in previous series, Hurix, kind of that really slow, long, very a grind full of suffering, I would say. and this dual sniper that we saw come out from Armament, it harkens back to kind of what we saw back in South America Contenders, a lot of sniper play there. And why do you think that was so effective coming up against GOATS?
It might just be something as simple as it's a comfort. Going on to Rialto, something like a Widowmaker is actually very, very strong. Certainly so is Azaria. So why not bring in the Hanzo? It also provides some shield pressure as well. There are certain things about that composition that make a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of regions were playing that double sniper for a reason. They are pretty versatile. You can take different angles. You can be aggressive. You can be that kind of backline threat that we see some Hanzos take. You can be that, flanking Widow that just wreaks havoc into the backs of your tanks, as well as taking out some of your supports. And you can, on top of that, just really kind of put out the pressure with the Hanzo, having that Storm Arrow now, that change that allows him to just throw out all of those different, that barrage of arrows, if you will, to just really kind of shut down Reinhardt's and make sure that they aren't going to be able to just kind of charge forward and do what they want. And without that ability to create space, it allows your Widowmaker to have more angles and more opportunities to find those kills.
And speaking of angles, Rialto is kind of that land of right angles, so many different blind corners that you can exploit. Lemon, would you say that it was kind of just an unfortunate, a series of unfortunate events that this is a composition that maybe doesn't go up so well against the dual sniper, and that along with that map selection, it really put MonkaS at a big disadvantage because remember, they took Li Jiang, pretty well.
It was a different look from MonkaS than I think we're used to, and what a difference between the two rounds that we saw. The first round, both these teams are neck and neck, have very similar time banks. I think it was even Armament that had the better time bank, and then you go into the other extra rounds where Armament full holds them, and that was just such a strange look. I guess MonkaS was were they the ones that had the Bastion? Because I might as well just bring that out again.
Yeah, right. Surprise, surprise, Bastion. They see me roll on the payload, right? Yeah, but I suppose maybe it was a little bit of, hey, we tried that Bastion. They're probably not going to be surprised by it again. So, maybe go back to like that barriers, the large HP pools. But yeah, I just love seeing that dual sniper. Now, Coach Hurix, you didn't have a chance earlier, but if you were going to be Coach Hurix of MonkaS, how would you approach that dual sniper? Because literally, there is no long range damage to challenge out the Widow and Hanzo. They're like, anybody who has like an older sibling knows exactly what that feeling is. They're just holding you at range, like, oh, stop hitting yourself, right? You can never get close. What do you do?
So I think it's a two-pronged attack, right? So I think it has to come from the DPS, and there's two obviously facets to this. First one's got to be Chang, has to be on the Widow. I think if it's an even fight where it's Widow v Widow, I think it lends to DPI slightly, but here's where the other facet comes in. Romeo, where's the Tracer at, man? I mean, this is where the Tracer would really, I think, have, an immense impact into this matchup, where he would be putting pressure onto the Widow, forcing him into bad positions, and then allowing Chang to not only have the time to just not have to worry about the Widow because he's dealing with the Tracer instead, but on top of that, or even the Sombra with Romeo. I mean, we've even seen the Sombra to be able to start dealing with the Widow. That might be an option as well. But again, outside of the time that it allows for Chang to have, it also puts him under fire where he's going to feel, DPI is going to really feel the tension. He's going to feel the anxiety, and he's not going to be able to just kind of calmly take shots as he did throughout that last map.
Yeah, it's about that mental game too, right, Lemon? I mean, we've been casting South America contenders for quite a bit, and one of the variants of putting pressure on the Widowmaker is to run a Widow Genji, right? What do you expect moving on, after this half into our next map, which will be Assault? Do you think MonkaS may be trying to bring something new to the table, maybe a little bit more Mei?
Oh, I would love to see more Mei. I mean, it would have to depend the assault map that we go into. I mean, I think we might have seen Lunar Colony would be like a great start to some Mei, especially on point A. But I feel like we're gonna see a lot more goats, and seeing how Teru and DPI worked so well together. I'm definitely thinking Armament are confident with that showing, especially with the full hold due to the sniper. We're gonna see the double sniper from them again, while as MonkaS, they got to bring back Romeo on that Sombra. I think his best showing was on Li Jiang with the Sombra. Really how the way he was cleaning everything up around him. And was it maybe either one of the substitutes? I don't know. Insane is apparently a Widowmaker player. Are we going to see more of him? And what is the rest of the team going to play around Romeo and really step up their aggression?
So wherefore art thou, Romeo? That's the player Lemon's going to have her eye on. What about you, Hurix, moving on into our third map?
Well, I'm actually going to be looking at Armament here, and I'm not going to be just looking at one player. I'm going to be looking at a combination of two players that I think really need to start connecting. I mean, certainly you could talk a lot about Reventon and Kim C, their ability to kind of play in tandem because they're that tank duo, but Teru often plays that kind of supportive DPS role where DPI is often, playing that carry. And I think Teru really needs to kind of play with his tanks a little bit better, particularly if he's playing Hanzo into Zarya, where Teru and Kim C need to have better communication. They need to have better coordination throughout the rest of the series if they want to be able to pull this one out.
So more coordination coming out from Hurix. And but so far, Lemon, we've seen quite a lot of plays. Again, it's very back and forth. Who would your MVP be? You've picked somebody to keep an eye on from MonkaS. How about Armament?
Armament. Oh, good. Oh, I think I talked about Kim C already. Maybe I can go with my same answer again. He's been an off tank that's been standing out, whether it's on the Zarya, whether it's on the Diva. I feel he's playing so well, making up for maybe the positional mistakes that Reppenton is doing. And I would have to say, even besides Romeo that we talked about, I think Perori has had a fantastic Reinhardt. He's the one that had the play of the game on Li Zhang with a 6-man shatter. He has very good awareness about what the other Reinhardt's going to do. So really shout out to the tanks from both sides. This has been a really good match.
And the tank play going to be, even more important if some of these predictions from our casters hold true. See a little bit more goats, a little bit more of that heavy tank composition. But what about you, Hurix? What are you looking forward to here?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing certainly the tank play, but I'm also interested in seeing more of what the supports are doing here and where they're throwing what they have, because something that we saw a lot in the last series was the allocation of resources. Where are your supports going? Who are they looking to oftentimes to actually set up and enable? So in this series, it seems like things are kind of all over the place a little bit, certainly more so than the last series that we saw between GC Busan, Lucia, and Go and Water S, where it was very strict. Like, when you look at Go and Water S, you're thinking Umte, obviously going to be getting everything that they can. And then you look at GC Busan Lucia, it's going to be oftentimes things probably like Fits, more often than not. Sometimes Opera is what they're typically throwing their resources at. But with MonkaS and Armament, it seems like they're a little bit more dynamic, I guess, in that regard, in the sense that they just kind of throw things around onto people depending on their composition. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who their eye is on going forward into these next couple of maps.
All right, there you heard it from our casters. You got to see that team play. Who is this entire team going to be revolving around as we head into our third map, which will be Temple of Anubis? Lemon, Hurix, take it away.
Ooh, Temple of Anubis, it's gonna get spicy, and we didn't even go over predictions of MonkaS versus Armament. Hurix, who do you think's gonna win?
This is so tough, actually. I mean, because it has been back and forth throughout. I mean, we really have seen both of these teams go at each other, like knives to throats right now. It is what it seems like. But you know what? I'm actually going to give a slight edge to Armament. I think that DPI on the Widow, I think that the maps in this pool, certainly here on Anubis, I think that there's going to be a lot to gain from having a very consistent Widow. A team that can really kind of play off each other. Again, I'm still looking at Teru as, someone that really needs to kind of really coordinate with the rest of his squad. But there it is. MonkaS actually, you see the Romeo actually on the Genji. So we will see Ham's prediction of Widow and Genji coming out, or rather desire perhaps of seeing the Widow and Genji.
I mean, the Genji, this is like the Genji map if you're going to do it. You need to access that high ground. You need to be able to follow along with your dive tanks. Genji, the perfect hero. Tracer, I wish she could climb up walls. Maybe she'll work out their legs and get that ability soon. But MonkaS, so important to have Romeo, and then you have Cheng that can watch over him in the backline, or in their backline.
Ooh, Cheng. Dangerous game you're playing there, buddy. DPI just standing still behind a shield. Big safety net as they dive up. Wow, what a purple there, too.
Wow, that anti just hit everybody, and you can see Remington's like not even shook. He just stood there. And MonkaS, Sleep already lost their mech, and now Perori is out too. So although this initial dive looked really good, especially on the back of Sign's anti, I'm not sure if it's gonna go anywhere. But they walk away with a tick, and they actually took out their Mercy. So this is gonna keep going.
Oh, this will indeed keep going. They also just took out the Diva. They're going to claim the kill onto the baby as well, as we will see Sleep hanging on out of mech, putting the pressure, just doming.
Wow.
Reppenton just fell right over to that Bunny Blaster as MonkaS take only about a minute to claim this first cap.
Oh my god, we got 7 minutes to take point B, and you got Romeo, who's got a blade, and Cherry, who's got a sound barrier. Korean letters, I'm getting used to it a little bit. And he got a nano boost, so probably gonna go with Sign. He's got the easier name. He's gonna give that nano boost to Romeo. They're gonna go in. Oh, that's Sleep. That would have been filthy. But Armament is trying to prevent this fight from even starting.
Well, they're trying to take out the Ana, and they do prevent the fight from even starting with that kill right there. And now it's gonna be MonkaS pulling back. Perori pretty close to a Primal Rage here, but this is where Teru pulls out the Sombra. This is actually the point where Sombra really, really, has an impact, where you can really get some work done. But, oh, Teru actually just caught out. I don't think they even were looking for him at all.
Oh my god, Romeo double kill there. And he got 2 flankers from Armament. Hopefully Agatha can really shut down Romeo on once MonkaS do move in on to the point. They set themselves up. They got half of a tick. Romeo is just cleaning up the feed along with Sleep.
And that's such a critical error, and such a little tiny error too. I mean, it's barely an error. If that, he just got randomly caught. I mean, to lose people like that, Romeo just took advantage of what was a very poor situation for Armament, where their Sombra just got randomly, literally randomly jumped on. I can't even use the word randomly without really giving the exact meaning of what just happened, because just to reposition, just to get caught up with the rest of his team, lands on a Sombra, catches him out without even having the opportunity to have that translocator as well. I mean, he had to throw it after he got jumped on. Easy opportunity for Romeo to pull the blade out, found those kills on top of it, and gave them all that they needed to just run right onto the point. And look at that time bank that they have created for themselves, 542.
That's nutty. And yeah, I definitely agree with sort of the mistakes that Armament made on that defense of trying to prevent it from starting, and it worked out going after the supports. But when you lose your 2 DPS and you're in a snowball situation with MonkaS with their blade that they just used, annihilating everyone, that was a struggle. 6-minute time bank. Like, we could cast this for days here. This is how big this time bank is, and Armament could prove to do a similar thing.
All right, well, they used the Symmetra here to get everybody started up onto that high ground. So a very similar setup to what we saw Armament utilizing just before. And we will see that Widow duel once again, this time Chang obviously having the advantage behind the shield, as we will see Reventon. I mean, is he going to stick with this? And are we going to see triple tank with the Roadhog as well? And I mean, if they wind up sticking with this is going to be a very interesting composition to play behind, because you have, you know, what is your flex support playing a Mei, so they should swap this. I imagine. Okay, they are indeed going to swap it. This is going to be essentially Goats, but with a sniper in tow to start maybe dealing with getting some picks.
It's like jobs, you know, you never trust it until you actually see the paper. I never trust a Hammond until it comes out the door. It's just a hero that's really fun to play with in spot. You spin around stuff, you know your teammates. That's the use of Hammond seems to be most of the time. But Armament coming up with almost a Slambulance, but it's going to be with the Widowmaker. And we saw how much DPI popped off on Rialto, and he's just staying out of line of sight, waiting for MonkaS to maybe come out of Perori's shield, but he's not going to be finding anything. I wonder if he's going to switch off from that.
And now they're going to have to play inside of that double room right there, right next to the point. So someone has to stay on point to make sure that they're getting some progress. And actually, look how many people just fell off. So they are just leaving 3 people up, or rather 4 people up. But if they can deal with these people on the floor, which Brig would be a great opportunity, they can actually win this one.
Oh, but it's a 1-to-1 trade so far, and half a tick. Here's the tire comes from behind, gets one of the supports. So Armament, I don't know if they're gonna keep this one going. It's still Reventon and Kimsey. They just haven't given up. This is a 1-2 tank army, I guess, but finally they do get cleaned up, and DPI finally says he can contribute to the fight, finishes off Chang there.
Well, there's a res though, unfortunately. So after all is said and done, you really kind of don't accomplish anything there. I mean, you certainly gave away a pretty big ult. Now you swap over to the Ana for the time being, and we'll see what they can get done as they just run straight in. This is where they need to kill Romeo, and they do finally get it done.
Romeo put out so much damage, and he got himself another tire. We just saw a tire from him, and Reventon just cleared the floor, mainly taking care of the Mercy, going after the supports. Armament really putting their foot down. They don't get it done as quickly as MonkaS, but this is very possibly could be a snowball situation. Look at the ultimates they have.
Now they're going to surge forward. They need to get a pick here to set themselves up to just dive into the point, you know, set themselves up in a way that Romeo did with his blade, but he has the rip tire to kind of turn them away. We'll have to see what he can get done as it comes out, looking for the kill.
It did get it. I think it did explode it. Okay, it got the mech. 1-to-1 trade in tanks, clearly favoring the defense here of MonkaS as they continue to sustain. A Sound Barrel's drop though. Armament have not wanted to give up this fight quite yet, but they lost their Roadhog. Kimsey is out of mech, about to get it back. So Armament, although the shield is getting really low, I can't ever tell if they're going to engage or not. When their members are down, they're still going in. Finally, they do reset though.
Chang going forward, trying to just desperately get that last little bit of percentage so that he'll have his Graviton ready for this next fight. You know, on top of that, they also want to get a big biotic grenade into it. Purpling people out in this next one is going to be huge, that they don't have to utilize anything else, but if they have to, having that self-destruct as an option and then just cleaving with Romeo and Porori, those are going to be probably the things to look for in this next fight. But if they utilize more than that, I think that could be a potential mistake, as then they'll be kind of even with Armament in terms of ultimate economy for the next one, and maybe that will be an opening for Armament to find some picks and then get the job done themselves.
We got 2 stun heroes on Armament now. Not only the McCree, but the Brigida. Lots of swaps going in their support department as Armament go through, but they're walking right into a Graviton. And now the self-destruct is out. That could be a free Graviton, not using it yet. There's nobody engaging here from Armament. Meanwhile, they've picked off some of the members from the defense. Armament can start moving on forward as they get caught in the middle of a Graviton. But is the follow-up there? MonkaS clear the board, and Armament reset again.
Unfortunate though, because you know, when we first started talking about this fight, we were prefacing it with, you know, what are they going to have to use to get the job done, and they used everything except for the sound barrier. They actually utilized the nano boost and then instantly self-destructed right after that, you know, and I mean even nano boosting onto the mech and then self-destructing that nano boosted mech. So just superfluous ult usage that just was completely unnecessary. That kind of thing can really, really cause some chaos down the line for you, and we might see the result of that right here.
So the result, we're down to 3 minutes and 30, and I think they had a pretty large time bank at the start to deal with. Armament starting off that Deadeye, gets towards the back, and is it absorbed? The Transcendence keeps him up also, but you invested 3 support ultimates, make it 4, make it 5 ultimates. Armament wants this so bad. They're at a deficit in the time bank, and they're continuing to roll through, but they're not getting the team fight finish they need so early in this fight. MonkaS start to fall, but they leave. It was a self-destruct from the offense that starts to clear some room, but MonkaS, they're the ones finding kills here, and Armament have to reset after using 6 ultimates in that last fight.
They have so much going for them too. I mean, 73% on Chang right now. Certainly could get that next, you know, 25% that he needs right you know, very quickly, especially if he's able to get some value out of his first 2 shields that, you know, that projected in itself. If those 2 can get him up to, you know, even 60, he should be able to get his ult out very easily. He's already at 80% now. We saw some swaps come out. DPI and Teru now have gone to Hanzo and Pharah respectively. There's no real answer for the Pharah, and it'll certainly be hard to get to DPI in the backline.
And the answer, it's a good answer to this goatee type of style that MonkaS is bringing out, but Chang is about to have a Graviton, and Armament are walking right into it. At least they have these heroes that keep their distance, but Kim C is out. He won't be able to absorb it, and it looks like they're still going to keep this fight going. Speaking of absorb, I think that Dragon Strike just got eaten, so really heads up play from Sleep.
That's massive. I mean, before, we saw some stuff like that going out, but it was Kim C on the other team that was doing a lot of the gobbling up of ultimates. Now on the other side, Sleep has his opportunity to shine, and look at what they've got stocked up. Almost all 6 ready to go. Romeo, the only one, you know, that rally at 86%. He could very easily get that up, right? I mean, he could easily get that up very quickly and have that ready for like a mid-fight swing. But how they're going to deal with not just the sustain behind the Transcendence, but the damage, the pressure that's going to come from the barrage as well.
And you just use the Transcendence to try and save your tank there, but they all get antied, so this is not even much of a support ultimate to help, and you got the self-destruct that just annihilated your support. So Armament have tried every strategy in their book. They're running out of chapters. They finished every Harry Potter book. They can't figure out a spell to give them point B, and there's 1 minute left.
Yeah, they have indeed tried everything here, but I mean, look, so you have your Mercy ult, you have the self-destruct, you have Dragon Strike coming up pretty soon as well. I mean, is that enough? Maybe, maybe not, but here's the thing, it has to happen right here and right now. There's 40 seconds or so left on the clock. You need to make sure that you're getting those soft eyes, you're putting the pressure out, you're forcing them into bad situations so that you can take advantage of that and isolate targets and find the kills.
Oh, self-destruct, Dragon Strike, it clears the complete right side of the point. This is pushing the defense all the way back to spawn. Finally, Armament can set a foot onto the point. They should be able to get a take here, but the stall from MonkaS coming in from all angles. You see Desperation coming out, the Tracer from Chang, sign onto the Moira. Armament on the back of just a few ultimates and a lot of time could be starting to clear point B. They're pressuring all the entryways that MonkaS are coming from. The barrage is dropped. Armteru is not gonna drop yet. And it looks like Armament looked like they were not gonna finish the map. And now all they have to do is clean up MonkaS.
Well, MonkaS, I mean, they get the job done. What they were looking for here was obviously, yes, to be able to defend outright and just win the game. But the fact that they brought this to no timer left at all means that they have all this an ample amount of time, right? 5:42 on the clock to get a first tick. There's, I mean, worst case scenario, you draw, right? Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you have almost 6 minutes to be able to get a third of a capture tick or a third of a capture point, just a tick, and you're able to win this game outright. I mean, I think MonkaS are certainly in a good position. They should feel confident about this. Now it's just about making sure that you're patient and you're setting things up, making sure that you're controlling the pace, controlling everything about the game that you possibly can to set yourself up for success.
And this is on the back of what we saw just on Rialto, where MonkaS really fell off to me, especially on their second attack. They got full health, and now they're the ones in charge, and they could very possibly go up 2-1 in this series, in this best of 5. What a back and forth series. When one team sort of takes a map decisively, the other team responds on the other map. So the composure that these teams have is incredible.
Absolutely, and here we see, I mean, what is, if I'm not mistaken, the same exact composition, and if it isn't, it's very close to it, defensively from Armament that we saw the first time around. So now we'll see if MonkaS can break this down once again, and Romeo and Chang back again onto the Genji Widow, respectively, for the second time to try to deal with this.
Oh, I'm all about this Chang versus DPI Widow matchup. Really quick pick onto Romeo, though. That's not looking too hot. It looks like Armament will solidify, and Chang is still looking for picks, but everyone is behind Revenant's shield, so this is just going to be a lot of shield shooting for a long time.
And remember, with this, with this, they should find the kills here. They really should be able to back them out. But still, how are they getting back into the point? How are they getting control? They're able to just find these late kills, and yet another one as Zine somehow turns into an actual insane person, needs to go to the asylum immediately, but is able to, at least before that, get his team ahead in the series 2-1. I mean, I was just about to praise him because both times we saw the hard dive set up onto high ground, it was always backed by an insane biotic grenade and over the top of a shield and then down into everybody on the opposing team. But Armament was able to back them off that time. And then all of a sudden, somehow Zion's like, you know what? I got the biotic. I'm done letting my team do this. I'm going to go in myself. And he gets the job done almost single-handedly, just going offensive and a right under bridge.
And also that Chang got a Widowmaker pick onto the enemy Mercy. So I think once he got that pick, he took out the main source of healing from the defense. That's when you scream winnable. No matter how many players you got, just go in, go in. And that seems to be the reoccurring trend between these teams of not resetting when you're 1 or 2 members down, which is supposed to be a lost fight, but they keep taking their chances on spending a lot of time to flip it over in their favor. And that's some really great plays off of Chang at the end.
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm looking at the rest of this match here, I mean, I was already saying going into this that I gave Armament just a slight edge, but it was really going to come down to their coordination. Are they going to be able to communicate with one another? Are they going to be able to come together and, get some of these ultimates and find some value and make sure that they're not overutilizing certain things? We saw that on both sides a little bit, where we see, 4 to 5 ults being popped in a single fight, and that they really should have only popped maybe 2 to 3. And that kind of efficiency is what will allow you to succeed at the contenders level. So obviously, both of these teams want to get to that stage. They want to be able to succeed there as well once they get there. And one of these teams could very well wind up at that point as well. But that kind of thing, that's what I'm looking for. If Armament wants to turn this back around and actually go and take a full swing on this one and completely turn this back around, they absolutely have to make sure that they look more coordinated going forward.
And Ham Tornado, I mean, this series has been back and forth between these two teams. MonkaS starting with control, now taking the third map. Were you expecting this?
I was not. I mean, honestly, fortunately, I would say I am not here for the predictions. That's YouTube. But no, I was not expecting that because, you know, at the beginning of this series, we saw everything was so incredibly close. It was really hard to call, you know, which team had that edge because they play so differently. But if I had to really sum up what we saw right there on Anubis, is that MonkaS now they're starting to peel a little bit away from the pack, right? And I think the biggest thing that we saw was their ability to capitalize on small windows of opening, right? Hurix was bringing this up earlier where we saw accidentally somebody like touched the Armament Sombra, and immediately the capitalization was there. The entire team jumped. Romeo pulled his blade. There was a big question as to, you know, from you, Lemon, as to whether or not Romeo is going to show up again, right? And he did in a huge way. And it was just those kinds of like, you know, little pieces where they were able to catch the Armament off guard that MonkaS were really able to pull forward. Lemon, would you agree with that assessment? It seemed like Armament were just struggling, and then maybe their coordination is slowly slipping as, you know, the series is wearing on.
I think they are looking exhausted. I mean, they had 6 minutes to get point B or something,
6 ults,
and 6 ults in one fight. I'm out of breath watching that. That looked exhausting, not only to spend that much time and not, well, they eventually got it, but 6 minutes on that point, that's got to be frustrating because they rotated over almost every hero in the game except maybe Hammond, and it didn't really get the ball rolling.
Ooh,
what about you, Hurix? Was Hammond the hero that they needed to bring out and they just forgot him or something? Or
I don't know if necessarily Hammond was the hero that they needed, and more to the point that going back to what I was saying earlier, that they really just needed to make sure that they were correctly utilizing what they actually had. I mean, there were a lot of different options for them, and they certainly used pretty much all of them. It's just about making sure that you actually are able to concisely articulate in comms what you want to do before every fight, and then actually executing that. It didn't seem like there was as much of a connection in that regards with Armament as, you know, what we've seen prior to this map. I think Temple of Anubis is probably the worst showing we've seen from them so far, and I'm really hoping and I'm really looking forward to seeing them potentially bounce back in the next map, to see them really take on MonkaS and show us more of what we saw earlier on.
So this question is for you, Lemon, since we have been, you know, covering South America contenders quite a bit. I get a distinct Black Dragons feeling from Armament, as in they're very strong at this particular composition. They nearly full held on Rialto with that Widow Hanzo dual sniper, but once you see them kind of move away from that, they seem to struggle a little bit. Now, as we move into our fourth map here, which will be hybrid, I believe, do you think we're going to see some more Widow play coming out?
Well, I think, going to King's Row, I think we're definitely going to see some snipers, and DPI and Chang, we've talked about, this has been the duo to watch of who's going to be going at it. Even Teru kind of throwing his Hanzo into the mix. Have we even seen Chang getting helped out in the sniper department? I don't really know. I think Romeo has been playing Genji or Sombra and these other roles assisting the tanks, but it's all been up to Chang to kind of keep his foot grounded in the sniper role, which he's done a good job of.
What about you, Hurix? Any thoughts on what we may see coming into King's Row?
You're definitely going to see Ryan Zarya. You're definitely going to see some potential of Orisa defense, probably with D.Va. I don't imagine we're going to see Roadhog here, just given the changes to Roadhog and also just the power of D.Va, especially on this map where you're going to want to play high ground and you're going to want to have someone to be able to go down and contest, as well as be able to go back up top and be able to help out the supports as well. So tank wise, I think those are the expectations, but yeah, definitely some Widows, definitely some Sombras in play for sure.
Widows, Sombras is going to be that hide and seek verticality game all day long, but we didn't cover predictions before. 10 seconds. Lemon, who do you think is going to take it?
I don't know. MonkaS, they look good. I don't know.
Okay, Lemon says MonkaS. Hurix?
I'm going with Armament. I think Armament's got it.
All right, disagreement here on the casting desk. Who's going to be correct? Take us away, Lemon and Hurix at King's Row.
Well, we're going into our next map. It's 2-1 for MonkaS. The winner goes to the semifinals. The winner is got a spot in trials. Armament on the attack first. Hey, here he called out the Sombra, the Reinhardt, the Zarya, and they got a D.Va with there too.
And we also see the same setup as well on defense. So like we have the Orisa, we have the D.Va, and there's the Sniper. And they're playing it as well, which is kind of that counter dive. But there is no dive for Armament, so now they're just going to kind of play for position. They're going to play to set up, but look at this high ground hold from MonkaS as they're just playing from that top window. And Armament is forced now to just go all the way back around, and they're going to go right through a choke, actually, where Romeo sees them and expects this.
It's like this gladiator style where they're trying to go to this high ground. DPI looking to switch to the Widowmaker. It seems they're almost... Yeah, they're actually doing the gladiator strategy. Is this going to pay off, or does MonkaS recognize this? DPI getting to the high ground. Because this works now, Armament coming to the high ground pushes MonkaS all in the line of sight of DPI. So this is just duck hunt for him. He's got everybody in his sights, but he's not converting that into the finishing blows he needs.
I actually think this is incredibly smart, especially obviously if it works, but I mean, we'll see, and we can talk about that in a little bit. I definitely want to see what happens with this Riptire as it does claim a kill and a DMAC.
That's already 2 tanks out of the picture. Armament won't be going anywhere on this attack, but they are happy to walk away with that tick.
So what happens here is the Sombra leaves that translocator right at the spawn, right? So they go around as a team, they force this kind of weird position from the defense closer to their spawn, and then he just translocates back, swaps to Widow, and now he has free range over everybody. He has the opportunity to take anybody he wants out.
Oh, and their Armament are continuing this. Mainly they have a Graviton here from Teru, but he dies with it, so Armament not gonna be able to have that opportunity. Or maybe they are still gonna go.
Oh, I would have been so appalled if DPI actually did wind up falling to Zion on the Zenyatta as he was just going for it. Oh, Chang somehow dodges that headshot from DPI without actually doing anything. DPI maybe, it was just one of those moments.
That missed shot?
Yeah, I was like, it happens to me sometimes when I play where it's like, okay, this is the easy shot. All right, Hurix, don't mess this up. He's not moving. I messed it up. And that's exactly what happened to DPI, I think. And he just, overcorrected, thought he was just going to move. Maybe at the last second he would catch him, but he didn't. And that's a big unlucky.
Big unlucky, and you got a big infosight online. You know exactly where everyone's setting up here on MonkaS. They're just coming around the corner, so you can tell the rest of the team to push on up, occupy that space. MonkaS are nowhere to be found. Now an opposite infosight, they know exactly where Armament could be, either in the hotel or on the high ground. And it's a Reinhardt with a nano boost. Perori, what a pin. Oh, and he still finds him at the end. That's insane.
And Perori able to allow them to just kind of hold out now as Chang is taken over the position that DPI had created earlier, or rather found first earlier, and now coming back into this fight, Riptire will be pretty much ready. I mean, it will be combating a Graviton Surge that look at the aggression from Teru as he just goes right in.
Oh, it's a counter shatter from Perori. I think the rest of the team just got nailed by the biggest bomb we've seen this series. Kim C doing work of MonkaS, and Armament will push on through. That's got to be play of the game.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but we have to see because, I mean, on this map, these angles are actually quite good for D.Va bombs. I mean, there's a couple of places where you can throw them that are, it's hard to tell where it's going, and then it just kind of peters over a corner, and then you just get domed by a massive nuke. We'll see if we'll even see a recontest here, but look at the positioning here from Reventon, who's going to look for a shatter, but they don't even see it.
He revealed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he slams it down. I don't think it finds anything, but a tire, while Armament's distracted, waiting for the sound barrier to go out. Romeo over the top, it comes from behind, and it finds Revington. And you also got Teru out of the picture. All the tanks are missing from Armament, so you can see MonkaS just charging on through, doing work. Perori's not scared of anything.
And you can see, like, how smart he is with this character and how much experience he has with the Reinhardt, and the way that he knows which direction he's going to have his swing. If he does swing, then shields, and then has that reset to throw them left. where he can actually position himself with a sidestep to the right, swing them left, and it actually puts them, if he like kind of rotates his camera a little bit more to the left, it puts them behind him and allows them to get a much easier stagger where they're not just chasing, they're able to actually just kind of body block at that point as well. So really smart stuff from Perori.
And speaking of blocking, you got Tira now into the Genji, looking to reflect some of this. Go after Chang, make DPI's job a little bit easier. Down to this last minute and a half. Armament onto the dive. It slams down and finds two. Mainly you've taken out the main healer of Armament. So much healing gone. Perori looking for more blood. He received the nano earlier. MonkaS just too good right now.
Big MonkaS if you're Armament too, because you're right now struggling to get that second capture point. You have a lot of time before you can even get there because there's a lot of walking to do. There's a lot of space creation that you're gonna have, and how are you gonna do that when you just lost your Zen? You got your Mercy to res it up so you can start going forward, but you're down that crucial cooldown now, as it's gonna be on there for another 20 seconds or so. And look, I mean, this is just buying more time for, you know, another Rip Tire, you know, another Nano Boost to help out Perori or something. I mean, there's so many options that are going to come online here for MonkaS as time progresses.
And two Transcendences. I think it'll be the tale of two Zenyatas. But look, it's Armament keep trying to start these fights, but Perori is always pinning them and messing them up before Armament can even get anything going. This is very deja vu of Anubis point B, where Armament are trying everything they can, and it's just not working. Down to the last 15 seconds now.
Tire ready for Romeo. They bought enough time. It's ready. And we're going to see him probably pull this out in a few moments here, as they're going to look for, even if it's just a single kill, that'll be enough, I think, for them. And he finds a triple!
It just found the Mercy in midair. He waited until they were close enough, until they could not react. Armament are so shook right now. They will not push this payload to point B. This will be the end right here. MonkaS could be finishing this series here on the King's Row on their next attack.
And now if you're Armament, you went from MonkaS to Monka Omega. I mean, you're just sitting there, I mean, appalled at what just happened. I mean, if you're looking, if you're Armament right now, right? If you're thinking, okay, we have to defend probably one of the hardest setups that we've ever had. You could see the payload where it wound up ending right now. You'll see it for a little bit longer before the payload just winds up disappearing. After the setup, that is. But you could see it, it's right there. So it doesn't have too far to go, especially because of the fact that given certain timings, I guess, if we see MonkaS take this first point and then they're able to take a fight around the choke outside of A or just past it would be more ideal. MonkaS could potentially just go forward, find some staggered kills, and have literally 2 fights to win out this series 3-1 over Armament. I mean, it very well could be the case. I mean, even right after that, 3 fights is not a lot to ask for to win and then take an entire series and move yourself into the semifinals of Open Division.
I still have a lot of faith in Armament, though. Remember, they were the ones that had that fantastic defense on Rialto that held MonkaS at point A. So this could be that situation. Are they going to bring out... I guess they did that with the double sniper, though. This time they have DPI on the Widowmaker, and Tira's going to be on the Junkrat. Still a fantastic comp. It's just, you know, bringing that luck from Rialto with the double snipe would have been cool.
So it is going to be, once again, that kind of anti-dive setup, right? Bringing in the Orisa Diva, having the Junkrat, a lot of damage boosting that's happening as well. You have the direct damage boost from the Mercy. You have the discords from the Zenyatta and the big right clicks as they back up into the hallway. But there's no dive. It's the same thing again, unless we see a swap from Perori, which I don't think we're going to see. It's actually going to be that control center setup where we have the Mei brought in on that triple tank double support with the Lucio.
Well, the Mei's only going to be effective if these guys drop down, unless they somehow coordinate Romeo getting everybody up onto the high ground. So they'll have to rotate Romeo either up there or hope that Armament drop down and you can make Romeo effective there. What are the snipes? Romeo's technically a sniper here, already taken out Teru, and they've already gotten almost 2 ticks here. MonkaS are just rolling today.
And that's the thing, remember the timings, that's going to be just as important as the point take, and the timing of the point take is if they can actually get a good time on this, they get the capture, they just get the kill on the Mercy late as well, and they might be able to just kind of find one onto Junkrat as they're just rushing forwards. Zenyatta's in a bad spot, but they just boop May off of the wall for him to just follow up on that one. If they had gotten one of those, I think it would have been all over. That would have been too much of a important stagger. And there's Reventon going down. So now they don't even have a main tank. That's the same thing. This is just such a good spot to be in if you're MonkaS.
Very so. Oh, I say Reventon now into the Reinhardt. Orisa would not have been mobile enough, and you can see they're stacking the cart right now. They're trying to get as much distance until Armament set up their last fight. Last fight for Armament. Their lives are on the line in open division. MonkaS, if they push this through, they are going to trials, and this is composed of fantastic, experienced players. And the Riptire about to show them how experienced he really is. Zero finding two. DPI with the third. The synergy between the DPS players of Armament is just unmatched. MonkaS on the back foot.
And Armament can just kind of play with their food now, try to get some ult charge. But look at Kim C. While, you know, he is positioned well here, kind of just making sure that everybody is safe behind him as Reventon's coming back now. They don't have ult charge. They just made these swaps and they didn't really get too much. I mean, it really came off the back of some big ultimates, particularly the one that came out from the Junkrat to be able to solidify that fight. So now they don't really have a lot of options. And look, Blizzard's up.
Oh, God. So the Blizzard drops didn't get you. We actually saw it this time, and you got a nano Perori. You got a wall that traps you between a very scary Reinhardt, and you got a Graviton that just got thrown in from MonkaS. Soundbearer, Nano, MonkaS have used everything. Armament are gone. Maybe a Mercy and a Reinhardt to stall this one out for reinforcements, but that won't last long. MonkaS have cleared the entire way. Just a flying Mandu is all that remains, and even using the wall to block them off. That's 1,000 IQ. MonkaS moving on to the semifinals to face Going Water S, and they found a spot in trials.
That's so huge. I mean, they were insane throughout this series. They were so consistent. There was a couple of little short hiccups where we saw, you know, like on Rialto, for instance, but I think that was more to say about the big heroic plays that we got you know, out of Armament than it was anything else. And you said that was probably going to be the play of the game. It wound up being it. But I'll tell you one thing. I actually think there was a Junkrat tire in there that might have deserved that a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, come on. It's you're just trying to fight me. I think we were fighting already with our predictions, but we should probably fight with our host, who's been back and forth between these two teams. Ham, this almost looked like a Game 5 situation. I don't know how this came around.
Ready to fight. Put them up, Lemon. But yeah, wow. Congratulations to MonkaS. They are now our fourth team to join the other three teams, Frisia Gaming, Wildcat, and Going Water S. They're all going, not only to semifinals, but also making it into Korea Contenders Trials. So congratulations to all four teams. But let's break down that King's Row, man. Hurix, you were, of course, sadly wrong with the predictions. Armament did not win, but you were right that when we saw Chang on that Widowmaker, putting a little bit of pressure on the Widow from DPI, that's when we really saw MonkaS able to take a lot more space. But I don't even think that it was the Widowmakers who were shining throughout that round. Who would your MVP of this entire series be, Hurix?
Oh, that's actually really tough. You know what? I mean, I'm actually going to probably put that on one of two, either Sleep or Perori, and I'm really leaning Perori on this one. I think he was very consistent. I think, you know, we saw some really heroic stuff from him, not just in terms of, you know, the ultimates that we got out of him, but just in the sense of being able to protect his teammates, always being in the right place at the right time, never really overextending. You just didn't see too many mistakes, and when he needed to make plays, he made them. So Perori, without a doubt, is going to be my pick for sure.
I have to agree. That guy was insane, especially on how aggressive he was playing. Of course, you're going to give this guy all the nano boosts, everything. You just dump your ultimates into Perori, and he made it happen. That was the reason that the payload stopped where it was. He's constantly pinning every time someone came around the corner, and Perori was messing everything up.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you see the main tank of a team take away some of the limelight from the DPS. But we, have to shout out the DPS as well. Romeo coming in big, showing up on, one of the other DPS heroes. Apparently he plays them all, right? So, yeah, but all in all, just really great showing from both of these teams. That will do it for our broadcast here today. But stay tuned, folks. We're covering all of Korean Open Division playoffs here at Broadcast.gg. So semifinals will be same place on this channel at 5 p.m. Eastern. And of course, we can't move on without talking about Broadcast.gg. We are a community of esports broadcasters. If any of you guys are interested in learning about casting, hosting, analysis, producing, anything like that, feel free to join our Discord, which I do believe is linked in the chat. And of course, give us a follow on Twitter at Broadcast.gg. And of course, give all of our talent here today a follow. They have the lovely Lemon Kiwi and the beautiful and effervescent Hurix. Follow them on Twitter. I myself have been Ham Tornado, your host today. But that will about wrap it up for quarterfinals. But you just got the beginnings of the taste of this amazing young new Korean talent. So tune in tomorrow's semifinals here at twitch.tv/broadcastgg. Y'all have a good afternoon.